which usually it follows pretty much the way it's written, but you never know. Again, for those of you who've never been here before, you know the first thing we do after dinner is our calisthenics and exercises. So, from the class of 1963, we have Linda Maxwell-Yant who will lead us. Everyone needs to stand. And your exercise is to get your vocal cords ready. As always, we have the fight song. If you don't remember the words, they are on the back of the program. It is the Worthington High School Marching Band. The song is going to be played twice, so don't stop after the first time. Okay? Sing it all the way through, and we want to hear your good lungs now. Yeah, the band's in the back. Ready, Paul? Everybody wants you to do it again by yourself. No band. You may be seated. Okay, I've never done this before, but I lost my next page. Richard Harding, one of 30 Hardings to graduate from Worthington High School. Almost as many as the Snoffers, but not quite. I'd like to talk about the class of 1963 and a few of those experiences.
Don't this way,
Don't encourage me. Don't encourage me. Before I get started, I have a message from my sister who's graduating. It was the 60th. This is her 60th anniversary. Class of 53. Are there any class of 53? My sister Ann Harding sent her greetings to the class and from 53. And is there anybody from the class of 43 here? No? Well, my Uncle Morton Woolley graduated in 43, and that's the 70th anniversary, and he sent his greetings from a long time ago. Well, I'm Richard Harding, and I'm delighted to be saying a few words for the class. You can see the class lined up here. You know, it said in the program that we were the special class. I think, I can't remember people talking about us being special, although I think our mothers called us special. But, well, there was one other person who did think we were special. The vice principal for discipline, Lou Colosi. He thought we were special, but not in the right sense, probably, of what we would have liked. But, you know, that's the way it is. You all probably remember the class of 63. We were the ones who were wearing, we were born in 1945. And yesterday was D-Day. And right after D-Day, Americans started reproducing again. Things started to look like they were going to turn out okay, and we were the product of that. In fact, a lot of us were born then in '45, just before the big baby boom, and we were quite a group. We were the group who wore a coonskin hat in elementary school, or Mickey Mouse ears, one of the two. You kind of, you had to wear something like that. There was rest period for us at the swimming pool because they didn't want us to catch polio. Because if you got overtired, you could get polio. But then we were the ones in our freshman year in high school who were able to go to Sabin on Sunday. You remember that one? Sabin on Sunday, where everybody got inoculated and almost wiped out that scourge of polio from the earth, at least from this country, and almost the earth. So we were lucky on that. We were also the ones who sat in our classes and listened over the loudspeaker as the commentator talked about John Glenn blasting off and orbiting the earth. And we sat in school and listened to that on the intercom of the school. It was quite an experience. Our class was a mix of old Worthington and the new wave of new people coming into town in Colonial Hills and Linworth and Riverlea and Rush Creek and all these new places that came in after the war. But we have lots of names in our class that you all will probably recognize. Many of you who had older brothers or younger brothers and so forth. But let me just give you a few names, and I don't mean to overlook some, but some of these people you'll remember either by remembering who they were or their family had some kind of business here in Worthington. So let me go down. I have them written down here. Gable, as in Gable Dairy. Heischman. Inslee, as in Worthington News. Seller. Barber. Jones. Bernie, as in Bernie's drugstore. I saw Missy back here too. Meyer. Long. Penny. Davis. Gores. Ingram, as in White Castle. Ingram. Johnston, as in Reverend. And Howell. Remember Father, who was the basketball coach, and so we had Dick in our class. And many others that came in from outside, and many of the old families too. Everything I learned in Worthington. During that elementary, junior high, and high school, I learned the way things should happen, the way things should be. Many of you in this audience helped create that kind of Worthington standard by which many of us grew up. When I left Worthington, I changed a lot. I'm not the same person I was when I left 12th grade. But if I was going to change the way I looked at anything, I had to compare it and vet it against the Worthington standard. Because the Worthington standard produced a cohort of wonderful children and citizens that had a profound effect on not only Central Ohio, but around the country. Let me give you an example. When we were seniors, we had our annual senior, or it was the election for student body president. And, people got up in the gymnasium. There were 500 of us all lined up. And Michael Manley, who isn't here tonight, got up and stunned us all by giving a John F. Kennedy talk out of the blue. I want you to know that he gave that with a Boston accent and everything. Everybody just sat there like they couldn't believe what was going on. What is he doing? It wasn't his normal Midwestern accent. But he won. And I remember thinking at the time, because of some of my siblings' friends, isn't that interesting that Michael Manley copied, mimicked John F. Kennedy, won the election for student body president, and at that very time, you all know this now, at that very time, 2 Worthington graduates in the Secret Service were down guarding President Kennedy and his family. Bob Foster in the class of 48, and Paul Landis in the class of 53. Is Paul here? Paul, please come out. Now, I have to think about that. Now think of the odds of 2 people being in that Kennedy detail from the same little high school in central Ohio. Now think of that. Is that possible, you know, mathematically? It really isn't, unless you think about the Worthington standard of growing up and having some things that are unique. Confidence, skill, a good interpersonal relationship with other people, and trustworthy. And those 2, Bob and Paul, both had what it takes. And I'm proud to be a graduate of the same high school and know that they were so representative. And Paul, I'm glad you're here tonight. And my sister said to say hello to you in particular. So I'll stop here in a minute. We're forever grateful for a couple things. One is mentors. You know, a lot of you were mentors for us younger kids. That is, you know, I think I had a lot of sports experiences, so, you know, I think of the Carl Wicks and the Don Morrows in baseball, who, while they were 3 or 4 years older than us, hit endless ground balls to a bunch of mediocre 12-year-olds and made them better than average. And I think of the swimming pool with Kent Bruno and Gary Schodecker and my brother Warren and Gary Littlepage and other people who gave a lot to us as we were growing up so that we would have skills, interpersonal fun, and all those things that really made Worthington a wonderful place to grow up. So we had mentors, we had community support. Thank you, United Methodist Church, for having a dance every Saturday night when there was nothing else going on, because that was a wonderful gathering place. And without that, I don't know what we would have done, but we would have probably done nothing good during that time. And thank you, Mr. Lane and Mr. McCord, for hiring such wonderful teachers that gave us a catapult head start as we went off to college and so forth. I don't know how they hired the teachers that they did, but they did a wonderful job. Two more things and I'm done. You know, I can't stop without saying something about Missy Long Gores. Now, she was given an award a few years back, and she's deserving of it. But as you know, Missy, for the last 10 years or so, has been the publisher, editor, censor, and deliverer of the Worthington High School Class of 1963 and Friends newsletter. And that has been, and now it's in volume 475. And the thing that it's done is that it has bound us together in some unique way that we never would have had the opportunity to have without that. And for that, we're very grateful, Missy, for your work on that, and hope you'll continue it for another 475. Finally, just one last thing. To the class of 1961, or is 61 here? 1961? Jim? Okay, Jim? Okay, well, Jim, I'd like to, send out a big thank you to you and the class. Many of you know there was a tradition in Worthington to go on a senior class trip. And it was great. My brother and sister went, and this, they'd go to New York and Washington and have a big time. Well, the class of 1961 had a big time. A really big time. It was considered, I think at the time, a little debauchery even, going on with rumors of cigarettes and so forth. And Mr. Lane and Mr. McCord made a snap decision that that was the last senior trip that they would support. So the class of 62 and 63, nothing. And I think 62 had already raised half the money.
Yes.
And so they probably had a big party right here. But we just never had a chance to thank the class of 61 for their So Worthington, where all the children are above average, and we want to thank you all again for the chance to make the class of 1963 special, because we don't get that happen very often. And I hope you enjoy. I hope we have a great rest of the weekend. I know we will, and look forward to coming back next year. Thank you.
Is that the real dog that's doing that? Or is he programmed? I know it's real, but does he yank it? And then... I also want to thank Missy for her newsletter, which I was allowed to join since I'm such a baby in the crowd. But my brother Dan, who was from 62, told me about it. It's a great newsletter for those of you who don't get it. And I don't know if she wants me to say this, but give her your email if you don't get it afterwards, and she'll get you on the list. It's fantastic. Just to rub it in a little bit more, I can remember Nick Bonnell and I would always sit in like the first or second row of the bleachers in front of the cheerleaders. After all, we were only in 6th grade at the time. We kept score of the basketball game, that's all. And I know a lot of you recognize a lot of the players and the cheerleaders. And I could see, being a former basketball player myself, not just a home game, but it was also at Whitehall Gym that I could tell was another one. But I'm not sure. They said a couple other games, but I'm not exactly sure what other games. But the Whitehall Gym was a familiar place for me. And the old wooden floor, is now under carpet for the main library. I mean, the wooden floor is still there, right, TK? Okay. Yeah, a lot of memories in that old gym for a lot of people. So I thought you might enjoy that. That was pretty neat. The guy who sent it to me, and I've lost my sheet. It's a 1947 graduate. Virginia helped me. His last name was, I think, McCullough or McCall. MCCLUHHOH or something. Yeah. Bill? Okay. Is that right? Okay. And I don't know how he came across it, but he sent it to me last year. So that was pretty neat. Okay. Next, if I could have the members of the class of 63 who are here, please come up to the front. I'd like your last name or maiden name, starting with A over here, going down to Z. Former PE physical education teacher, Ms. Karen Howe, will come up and help take you with certificates. Karen, come on over here. If you are local, and you know that Karen is obviously still around, living in the same house, and you can catch her in the morning down by Graceland Shopping Center at Just Buys. Stop by and say hello. Yes? Nothing.
I missed what you said. I was getting directions.
That's okay. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's been lots of fun to be here. And I was thinking when Mr. Harding was speaking, or Dr. Harding, I guess, was speaking, I was racing back from student teaching in Zanesville in order to see John Glenn take off to orbit in 1962. And that sort of brought back a memory for me. But it's great to be here. I've sure enjoyed seeing everybody. And I don't have anything prepared, so we'll go ahead and present the certificates. I belong in the gym, you know? Give me a ball and a bat, and here we go. And we've got a wooden floor, and I'm sorry they buried that one under the library. That was my last year. I left after that.
Hi, I'm Nikki, and I too want to welcome Karen. She was my gym teacher back, I guess, well, I was going to say when we were both very young, but Karen looks the same as she did then, except a little more fabulous tonight, so I'm glad you're here.
It's fun.
Okay, to honor our 1963 graduates in alphabetical order, we have Joanne Bach, Dwight Barkhurst, Brian Bell, Richard Burney. Hi. Russ Seller. Paul Chambers. Kathy Clancy Moyer. Ron Davis. Candy DeWitt Czar. Peggy Feather Grove. Stephen Futrell. Betsy Goldthwaite Atkinson. John Hall. Of course, Richard Harding.
Sorry.
Okay.
A little clumsy.
The first time I ever spoke at one of these, I almost knocked it over.
I can do that.
William Johnston. Carlene Kessler Weil. Stu Lewis. Van Liming. Melissa Longors. David McKenson. Mackinson.
No, I wasn't here at the beginning, so they... No, Mischief.
And Mischief. Linda Maxwell Yund.
I got them late. Okay.
Okay, who did I just do? Yund, right? Yeah. Tim Neal. Elaine Nichols Pulio Carter. Connie Rapp Marston. Beglin. Shirley Spencer Landhorn. Richard Watson. And as you probably were most of the time in high school at the end of the line because of the alphabet, John Weston. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And here's John.
Time a little bit to recognize some people. Things have been changing the last few years in terms of who attends and so on. We've kind of gotten past the 30s, and we are still getting people from the 40s, not so much pre-World War II, but yes, after World War II. Betty Pefferly, Joanne Esser, Virginia Hetrick, and Wanda Buck. You four, I think, are all here, or at least they're in the back, class of 1946. And then Barbara Brown, 48. And Joanne Brown, 49. Class of 53, celebrating 60 years. Can you please stand? We're here in the corner. Class of 58 is 55 years. Anybody 58? 68, we know you're here. 45 years. Usually you're pretty loud. I don't know, stand and cheer for yourself. That's tomorrow night. Okay. Chuck's on here. Class of 73 is celebrating 40 years. Their leader, Lisa Studer Smith, is here, along with a couple others in the back. And unfortunately, which is kind of a trend that's been in the past coming every year, we have no one from the class of 83 attending, which is the 30-year class. We had one person who was going to come, and that person did not show, and I feel kind of sorry that that person was the only one that had signed up to come. Maybe she found out she was the only one that was going to come and didn't want to come. So, if you could turn to your program and look at the page that has the deceased and passed away graduates. Notice again, this year we started and included some faculty and staff. I'm sure all of us know Lillian Bernhagen. And I don't know if it's ironic or not, but for those of you again who are local, remember that she was just in the newspaper and also on TV for her episode with, was it a weather balloon or that dropped in her backyard, and she got on and talked a mile a minute like she was 30, not what, 90 some. And then we mentioned earlier Luke Colozzi, who of course passed away, it was last year, and Mr. Lane also had passed. The list gets longer. The years get higher, like 76, class of 81. So we are losing our friends, and that hurts a little bit. And I see a couple of my classmates there, 1970. We need to keep this updated, so please, if you know of someone that is not on this list, let us know afterwards, or you can just drop me an email. It's just real easy. It's just johnsnoffer@gmail.com. We'll add it to our database, and also if we need to let anybody else know, we will do that for you. We always have some 30-year club business that needs to be taken care of. First off is that we need to re-elect some board members. I myself Maris Bennington Clary, 1957. Maris, stand up, please. Just remain standing. Susie Bonnell, 1964. Karen German, 57, who's on crutches. I hope you can stand long enough. You're good. Go sit down. And Diane Blaine, 1975. And Diane is... Okay, we are up for your re-election for a 3-year term. That'll take us to 2016. So, generally speaking, I need a motion for these names to be voted on. Howdy, thank you. Second? Bruce? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Other board members, if you look at your program that I would like to introduce to you again, Virginia Hedrick Dill, class of 46, you've already met. Mark Cameron, 1979, is here in the middle, taking pictures and video. Barbara Lane Taylor, 1956, in the back. Kristen Seller O'Keefe, 79. She's waving, she won't stand. And Mert Griffith Harnack, 51. Back. Pam Hecker, Gallipold, 64. Nikki Neza, 69. Nancy Sensel Leach, 67. In the corner. Bill Pefferly, 72. And Dan Owings, 55. And as you can see, they will be up for re-election in a year or two. Some additional things I'd like to say. If you're local or still going to be in town Sunday morning, is the 15th annual Gary Smith Worthington Classic Race and Walk, which is named for Gary Smith, the teacher at Thomas from about 1967 to 98. Passed away of cancer. Nikki's first husband. He was the track and cross-country coach for many, many years with Les Eisenhart. We have a race in his honor every year. It starts at 9 o'clock. If you can't run the 5 miles but can walk the 3 miles, you're more than welcome to come. I'm sorry? Or sit in the stands and cheer. We run through Worthington Estates, up through the neighborhoods there, and down the Old Tangy bike path. So, starts and ends at the track. Diane, I'm going to have to ask you to stand again. She doesn't like me doing this every year. Diane is in charge of our database. We had almost or around 4,000 emails that were sent out this year. I know that some people emailed me and said I didn't get an email or I didn't get an invitation to the dinner. Just to remind you, the first thing we do about the end of March is to send emails to those 4,000. They may go into your junk mail, they may go into your spam, but just kind of remember next year, around that time, start looking for it. It saves us a lot of money because we also send out about 4,000 or 3,000 regular mails. And that adds up to a lot of money. If we don't have your updated emails or addresses, let us know. Obviously, you're here tonight, but we do run into some situations in the following year. So if you're planning on moving or changing your email, please let us know. Let Diane know. Her email is out there on our website. Oh. Hey, Paul. Can you turn that off and get us on our screen? So, Diane is who you talk to when you write to MB, and she'll answer or pass on any questions to me. Again, Mark is responsible for our website. He's also responsible for setting up the PayPal, which is in our 2nd year, and I think that's gone very well for us. Not here tonight is Mr. Andy McKay. Can we scroll down that one picture? Andy is a class of 51. He's been at Malin Maxton, Jax Maxton Chevrolet for like 50 years. He has helped us the last, I want to say, 6 or 7 years getting a vehicle for the Memorial Day Parade. And there you go. Due to a little bit of rain, our attendance wasn't quite as good this year, but we do have a lot of fun marching in the parade on Memorial Day, and you can all remember either lining up along the street or being a Scout or Girl Scout or some little group marching in the parade. We follow the Thomas Worthington Marching Band. We have a great time. Think about it next year if you're going to be in town or have a couple hours to spare. We range from dogs to old people. Is he sleeping? Right?
He's awake.
All right. To those of you, I also have a great deal of thanks for any of your donations that you made to us. You can probably see by our attendance, we usually have the back, if you're new, we have the back area filled usually, and even the upper tier filled. Our attendance is dropping. We'll be lucky this year to break even, and we just hope that we'll be able to keep going with this thing. If you visit the MAC, McConnell Arts Center, again, make sure that you find the alumni book. If you have fond memories of a class or an experience in the old high school, be sure to ask for that book at the front desk and give a line or two about that remembrance. They are doing a special project where they are putting all those things together, and they're going to put it into some type of literature book or something for the school district. Also at the Thomas Worthington Athletic Department, and I've mentioned this for a couple years, they are and have been collecting all kinds of sports memorabilia. Nikki and I were in there the other day and we saw a 1919 letter sweater from the Hard family, the Hard family. Okay? And we saw some cheerleading pictures and some other football pictures. We saw a football picture from 1904, I think it was. Yeah. So if you're again in town or have time, stop by the athletic department, take a look at all those. If you have something you want to give, they would be more than happy to take that from you and display it. One last thing. Tomorrow starts the last year as myself being president of the organization. Next year, celebrating with the class of 1964. That will be my last major event as president. Hopefully, again, we'll have a homecoming event in the fall and then a Memorial Day parade. The board knows that I am going to have one more year. We are looking for a new president. If any of you are interested in taking over and are not on the board, there could be a position open on the board where you can slip in and you can take over as being the president. Talk to me afterwards if you want to say anything about the whole organization. Be glad to listen to what you have to say. Okay, Paul, you ready? Linda, we're calling on you again. Everybody please stand. On the back of your program.
Oh, come, let's sing our alma mater to dear old Worthington. Hail, hail, we sing her praises, break of day to setting sun. Though the day be dark and dreary, our love for her shall never die. Worthington will always love you as the years go drifting by. Oh,
Thank you. That concludes this evening's program. By all means, you are not required to leave. We have this place for a while. So if you didn't get to talk to the friends or classmates beforehand, don't rush off. Stick around. Thank you for coming. Good weekend.